24/7. I'm Tim.
What's up? I'm Adam, A. Jackson.
Yes, A. Jackson. We had him out here. I met Adam in Vegas doing some shows. He's a rapper, philosopher. He just does everything. Adam's a band, so I had to get him on the podcast and see what he does, see what he's about. So,
Hell yeah.
what's going on, Adam?
Well, thank you for having me. Got my coconut water in hand. We're here right now in the laboratory.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, I appreciate you coming by. This is where the magic happens. The viewers, they can't see it right now, but you've got I got a MIDI right there, another MIDI behind this one. Got my brand new laptop, my Razer 16. That is a tank of a laptop. And this is really where it happens. You know, I bought the SM7B with the Cloud Lifter off the strength of an artist named Black Bear from LA. He's independent, and he did an interview saying he recorded Digital Drug Lord, a very huge album that he did independently. And he was like, these are the tools I used. And he also said that Michael Jackson used those tools to record Thriller, the SM7B. So I was like, okay, get that. Do it all at home, and this is where I do it, right? Because you go to a studio, you pay for studio time, it adds up, it gets expensive. I figured, well, the same money I could put towards studio time, let me just buy it all once, cry once, and then, you know, be able to do it at home. So this is the lab, and I keep things, little artifacts around that help inspire me, keep me motivated, some mags, some stuff
Pokemon,
like that.
You got basketball, you got cool stuff.
There you go. Yeah, thank you, for sure.
Let's start. So let's go back to the beginning. We're already here. Let's go back.
Way back.
Yeah. So how do you start in music, or where do you start getting into music and wanting to become a rap god?
How did it all happen?
Yeah, you want to be a rap god.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Going off of rap god, we'll tie into like Eminem, right?
Yeah.
I remember being real young, and just like my father, my uncle, my mother, they all big fans of music. My mother had vinyl collection, my dad had CD collections, and like I remember Eminem being like one of them ones that was like always kind of like on the dash, and you would hear it, you know, at any given point. And so, but before even like it was into hip hop, it was just like I was into music. You know, like a lot of 80s, like both father and mother played a lot of 80s. You could tell that they had real good taste. It was mainly, I would argue it was mainly kind of pop genre. But, you know, as time went on into the 2000s, I was born in 96. So by 2006, I'm 10 years old. And in the late 2000s is when hip hop started to go crazy. Yeah. You know, Lil Wayne. When iTunes came out and MP3s were a big thing, like Lil Wayne was on every song, and that's kind of when hip hop became the most popular genre. When I was, 2006 to 2008, so I was about 12 years old. So from time I was like 12 to 14, like hip hop was just flooding the scene. So like as I'm kind of like getting shaped by music as a youth, I was exposed to, like, I watched the come up of Young Money, you know, Lil Wayne, Nicki, Drake. Black Hippie was Kendrick, Ab-Soul, J-Rock, and Schoolboy Q. Dreamville, J. Cole, Omen, Boz. And then there was also, of course, good music, which was like Kid Cudi, Kanye West, Big Sean, I mean, good music, Pusha T, there was a lot, like just everybody was kind of in their own lane. And Our Future was a huge one. LA, again, you know, I got to shout out these people where we're from. And so, you know, Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler, the Creator. And these are all people and groups that were like coming up and becoming popular while I was just a child. So, or like, you know, starting to get into my teen years. So like all through my teen years, that's what I was exposed to, you know, like the ASAP Mob with ASAP Rocky and Joey Badass, Pro Era. Like there were just, it was so many pockets. And the beautiful thing was these pockets would start to come together. Yeah. We had a lot of collaboration. I think this is important because hip hop traditionally had been very local to where you're at, you know, but then with the internet, now suddenly everything's interconnected. Yeah. You've got New York collaborating with LA. You've got Dre producing for 50 in New York. you know, Eminem from Detroit, but it's G Unit, it's Aftermath, right? It's so everything starts to get, and the creativity just blossomed. And I got to like be inspired by that throughout my teen years. And that's kind of why it breaks my heart to this day. Why, like last year, we had experienced, you know, one of the biggest hip hop beefs in quite some time. You know, there was Kendrick and Drake. But the thing to me was like, I hadn't felt, you know, hurt like that since like, you know, perhaps acknowledging separation of my parents. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you mean to tell me the guy that made fucking Problems, Drake and Kendrick, the guys that made like a song that great, you mean to tell me they're beefing? You know, the two guys that made Poetic Justice are going head to head? Like, and I, you know, and I say it like as a joke in reference to divorce, but it is kind of real because it's like, okay, imagine me who's spent half a decade or a decade being inspired and motivated and living with these individuals as the soundtrack to my life. And now suddenly they're like trying to put each other down and like it's not a good look for the genre. Drake's been on a hiatus for a year and you see that now hip hop's falling out of the top 40. I don't think it's a fucking coincidence, dude. Like I don't. Drake's out here, he's always giving out features to everybody. And usually that happens to be one of their biggest songs, right? So you could say, well, that's maybe the machine at work. You could say it's him at work. I think it's him at work. You know, I have a lot of love for him and Drake. I'm sorry, and Kendrick. Drake and Kendrick. So it's important for me to highlight that because it's like when the genre starts like tearing itself down or maybe there's outside forces helping it do that, I suffer as a consumer. I'm a fan first. I rap. You know, I want to participate and I want to be on these people's level, but it's important for me to acknowledge I'm inspired by these people first. And so yeah, so I would say that like that's how the inspiration all happened. And even today I still look to these people for that. Whenever Drake drops a new project, Kendrick drops a new project, I'm playing it and I'm soaking it in. I'm feeling inspired and motivated by it and I hit the pen heavy every time. Like if Drake drops an album, chances are I'll go write one of my best songs. You know, I'll go pick a beat that you know I hear that I really like and I'll write something to that but then record it on a different beat. Same with Kendrick.
Yeah.
You know, but I got so confused in these past couple of years because of that. And I could tell that maybe perhaps a lot of people who like acknowledge or play a little bit of hip hop, they were mostly the ones who kind of like had the most fun with it, you know? And like for me, I take the shit serious, dude. I was like, dude, I really like, I'm affected by this. I really love these people. You know, and I love this genre and like everybody, you know, tearing each other down and you've got groups now kind of like it was a big deal. I just mean to say like all those groups I mentioned early on, they all had to kind of speak on it awkwardly in their interviews and like their takes on it. And, oh, well, you know, and some people really had to take sides. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I thought it was too much. Like I was like, this is OD. So yeah, that's where I'm at now though. I'm still looking for that inspiration. You know, one of my favorite artists is J. Cole. Yeah. He's from North Carolina. He grew up.
He jumped out of the beef though.
The beef?
Yeah, he jumped out of the beef.
He did.
He was in. He just like
I don't know what he thought was kind of going on. I mean, I think he had the impression that it was supposed to be, you know, a showcase of skill. And it got real personal real quick. And I had heard, I don't know if this is credible, that someone kind of poked him on the shoulder and said, hey, you might want to stay away from this. And that's when he kind of just like walked away. But look, Cole is my favorite of all of them. And I only say that because, well, you know, for a lot of reasons, but like one of the reasons is like going back to that local stuff. You know, he grew up like Fayetteville was only but 3, maybe 4, I don't know. It's not far from where I'm from, the 804 in Virginia. So as I was growing up in my early teens, mid-teens, listening to his music, like all the stories he'd tell, I'd be, oh my God, he's rapping about where I'm from. You know, like I felt it because those little foresty areas in the Carolinas is real similar to the ones in Virginia. It's all in that Appalachian Trail. Yeah. So all the stories he's telling, talking about police and I've told, you know, to the audience, me and Tim have worked together prior. We've had many conversations about cultural differences between West Coast and East Coast. You know, on the East Coast, like it's different, dude. Like they don't have the same gang problems and stuff out here that police got to kind of like monitor. So what are they doing? They're like hiding in the trees trying to like get people going 6 miles per hour over the speed limit.
Yeah.
And Cole is telling his story. He's like, yo, man, I'm a black man in the country. You know, I really got to look over my shoulder. And I'm like, dude, like, I fucking feel you, man. I'm not black, but I got a little bit of weed in the trunk, and I'm in the same boat, sort of, you know? So,
Yeah.
you know, I always love listening to J. Cole and his storytelling. And then, so here's what's cool, though, is I started to study music, and my favorites, I would listen to all their interviews and be like, well, who are they fans of? Well, J. Cole was a fan of who? Jay-Z and Nas. So here I am as maybe 15, 16, 17-year-old. That's when I started going later. Like, okay, I've been exposed to this music that dropped in 09, 2010, 2011. Let me go back. And that's when I got to the 90s. And I started, you know, the Jay-Z, the Nas discography, the Mos Def, the Gang Starr, the Wu-Tang, the Black Star, the everybody. You know, I just started to kind of like go down that rabbit hole, see what I gravitated to, try to understand why certain people that I listened to were inspired by certain people from that time. And then I just kept going, you know, back to the 80s. And then because my dad, we'd be riding in the car, mom too, but my dad, like, I listened to a little bit more music with my dad than my mom. I'll just acknowledge that real quick. But like my dad, because another thing too, my parents were separated. My dad would come pick me up once every other weekend and usually once a week to have dinner on a weekday. So I spent a lot of time in the car with him. So on the radio, he'd put on the local stations in Virginia for like pop top 40 and stuff was like Q94. He put on Q94 and like I said before, Lil Wayne. Like these people would come on and he'd hear a sample or something from the 80s and he'd be like, oh, fuck this. He'd be like, hold on, I gotta, pull up whatever. And he'd be like, now listen to it, son, listen. And, he'd like be like the lyrics. And so I would. And then he'd explain, like, he'd be like, listen to the instrumentation, And he'd really break it down. I didn't know my dad was just like into music for real until I really started asking him and like going digging through his CDs. And I'm like, who's Mannheim Steamroller? He's like, oh, that's a synth production artist. This whole album doesn't have lyrics. It's just synthesizers. Like, and I'm like, whoa, that's kind of weird and cool. Like, why do you like this? Well, son, let's pop it in and find out. And now here I am listening to this guy who's really good on the keys, like make his own sounds with synthesizers and stuff. So like I really would say that I guess just being exposed to music, to parents that like appreciated music was a big like, hey, have fun with exploring music yourself. And then ultimately, ironically, I say ironically because like I ended up working with him, but like when Asher Roth came out,
yeah,
and I realized like, oh, I can be white but not have to be from the trailer park like Eminem to rap, I was like, and I started thinking like, well, I love this shit so much, maybe I could do it.
Yeah.
And Asher's phenomenal. Like, there's a big debate that they say like the top white rappers and like, everybody's got their opinions. I've always loved Asher. From Greenhouse Effect Volume 1, he did with Don Cannon and, Drama before really like, I mean, they were popping at the time for sure, but like that Greenhouse 1, when it was on DatPiff, where everybody went for music before like streaming, like that shit shook the world.
Yeah.
Asher was rapping on Britney Spears' Demonic, or I'm sorry, Break the Ice. Do, 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 do. Well, he was rapping on that.
Yeah.
And people were like, what the fuck is this kid doing? So like I always thought Asher was ahead of his time, and he started, excuse me, I just ate lunch, getting a lot of motion, and I started really paying attention to him. And I'm like, well, he's kind of like, got a maybe similar story as me, right? Like I mentioned, we're not like from the fucking trailer park and shit, but like, we got some perspectives that we can share. They seem valuable. Maybe people will listen to it. So I really stayed tapped in with him for a long time until one day on Instagram, he announced he made a Discord channel for artists and producers and people to go participate in. And I joined, and took me a while to get active because I didn't know the app well, but once I started like joining other Discords and figuring out the app, I'd go back to his and I'd start, hey, what's up? Like, let me drop some raps in here, some beats. And that's how I met Guala. Guala's the guy that Asher had actually worked with. He's a producer, and I connected with him in that Discord. Him and I made a record together, And then I felt comfortable because Asher had rapped on his shit. I was like, let's send this to Asher. What do you say? And he's like, yeah, let's do it, man, you know? And it was, maybe you could call that like a safe play because Asher had already rapped on his shit before. But I was just kind of like, let me put my toe in the water and see if Asher responds well to this. He did. We made a record. We got it on my first project. Talk about a full circle fucking moment, you know, from like me being a teen, hearing this cat come out, shake shit in the world, and me just being like, hey, this guy might be, you know, a big reason why I'm gonna pick up a mic and even give it a go, or pick up a pen and try to rap. And then here we are a decade and some later, and like on my debut, like full length project, he's on the motherfucker. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I told you, you asked me one question, bro. I'm gonna go.
No, I'm fine.
I'm gonna go in.
Yeah, I want to hear. So from there, you keep going.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
So
Hold on, because you have a clock right there that's not working. I've been looking at it.
No, it's no battery.
It's been the same time for a minute.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, do you see what time it is on the clock?
No, 4:20.
It is.
Yeah, it's been 4:20 for a minute.
It's always 4:20 in this place.
I was trying to look and see, like, okay, what's the time? And then it's not going anywhere.
No, I like to make pro cannabis related jokes because where I'm from in Virginia, bro, you really had to hide. You really had to hide in the closet about your shit, bro. Like, they will put you under the jail, or would put you under the jail for weed. You smoke a doobie, the cop smells it, neighbor smells it, report you to the police. You know, I could tell you a lot of horror stories, but we don't need to spend a lot of time there. But it's, you know, now that I'm in a state where it's like legal, you know, even in the industry I work in, there's my glasses up there, you know, hey. But in the industry I work, like, it's cool. Like, I meet like managers or bosses or like, you know, general contractors, like people with big positions, big money, big trucks and toys and big business, and you know, they fucking smoke, or they don't care that I smoke, you know. So it's always good to just embrace that, because I spent the whole beginning of my life like, you know, being afraid. And just a side bit before we get back to music, I do think that that's a big reason why people get really anxious when they smoke, and I used to, because it's like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong, I'm nervous now, I'm gonna get judged or I'm gonna get in trouble. But now that I'm in this state where it's like, I can literally go in the store and buy it like it's a beer, you know.
They have a drive-through by our hotel.
They have a drive-through for cannabis.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable. So that's why I'm like so comfortable making the jokes. It's so like, there's a stigma, and sometimes like people get a little weird, but I'm like, hey, you know, I think it's okay to acknowledge now that we're here. It's 2025. Trust me, I've done my fair share of drinking, and to my knowledge, you don't drink, right? So you understand like pros and cons of drinking, I'm sure.
I don't know any pros, but okay, I got the cons.
Yeah, that's right. There's not too many pros, if any at all, right? But you know, and then with cannabis, you look at the pros and cons there.
We're gonna go to that after.
Yeah.
Next podcast.
Next podcast. We don't have to stay here long. Thanks for letting me make these jokes. I gotta make them. And the few opportunities I could find were like, I remember one time in 2018, one of my first, like, I guess you could call it corporate jobs I applied to, they wanted me to do like Google ad management for clients. And they offered me like a role. I think they wanted to give me like 30 grand salary to come in.
Not bad.
Right? Yeah, not bad if you're, I guess, living with your parents. I don't know what they thought, but and I was like, I can make more money cutting grass. Yeah. And I did, you know, when I didn't even need a degree or anything to do stuff like that. And so that's why contract work was important to me. And I was already getting on ZipRecruiter in Virginia to find contract work. I was looking at a lot of marketing jobs, you know, stuff like video, graphic design, you know, and I knew my way around Adobe Suite. So I was like, okay, I could be creative in this way, get some pay for it. And, but I did like being outside, you know, I loved landscaping. I really did. You know, I laid concrete for a summer. I mean, I worked for a general contractor, a big construction person. And I wasn't like the guy moving the brick or nothing, but like I was outside, you know, when it was 100 and whatever degrees, like spending time with teams, like just trying to get everything looking good. And so, I mean, I like being outside. And just when I came out to Vegas, like that was the first thing I was, you know, trying to find was all kind of contract work, dude. And I did it all. I mean, I was doing Can-Am tours when I moved out here. You know what I'm saying? Just because it was outside, you know? And I could maybe play some music on the Can-Am while people were coming to Vegas to visit. Like, but I was doing that. I was working at the off-road place. You know, I don't know. Can we disclose the...
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You work there. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, well...
You work. I don't care.
Just for the sake, I guess, of like, you know, with everything we have showing and like, you know, not disrespecting people we have relationships with, because I know that some people aren't too pro the things I'm displaying, but
they don't watch what I'm doing.
They don't, huh?
They don't watch me, dude.
They don't watch you. Good point. Good point. Well, we'll keep them under wraps. I worked for the off-road experience in Vegas. I was a, you know, trail guy with them. But I was, dude, like when I wanted more hours, I'd be like, yo, can I wash your trucks? You know, like what else you got for me? And that's when they were like, well, we know some people who do some production work in town. And they said, if you want some more hours, that's all we got. And I did. I went in town. They gave me hammers and nails, and they said, have fun, you know, start building. And that was Raiders. That was the activation, the brand display rather, that we did 4 years ago. And that's how I kind of got into the industry. But here's what was so attractive about this industry was we activate, right? We set up.
You activate.
At
set up.
Yeah, good point. Right. But we get busy at the music festivals.
Yeah.
So I had never really been to I swear to God, I had never gone to like a big music festival until I had to work production for one. And then, you know, now I'm looking around at all the patrons. Mind you, these people are paying hundreds of dollars to be at these festivals, and like, bro, $500 for me, like, is a lot of bread. So like, but okay, you'll pay me to go set up, you know, to go work it. Like, that sounds great. And lo and behold, dude, the money in that field was like money I'd never touched before, dude. Like at the time years ago, like they say, hey, how does $25 an hour sound? Like, well, at the time, shit, dude, back in Virginia, like when I was like a field manager of a landscape company telling guys what to do, you know, I had my own rig, bro, 17 an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm working my ass off. So you come out west and, you know, it's just different, bro. They're paying more. You know, I'm in Nevada too, so I don't have that state tax. Like I was like, dude, I'm Warren Buffett out here, dude. Like, you know, I was like, I'd never seen money like this. And then it was only up from there. You keep making connections, you keep shaking hands, you get involved with different clients and brands, and like it's all contract work. You know, you know this, but my year is determined on like what does January 1st look like? Who's calling my phone, or whose phone do I gotta call? I gotta figure out how much money I'm gonna make for the year. And usually by about March, I know. Like I'll know by December how much money I'll make for the whole year, just based off the new and every year. But even while I'm traveling on the job, I'm still shaking hands, and I'm like, hey, you know, do you pay more? Because at the end of the day, that's kind of, I mean, like, you got to love what you do. You got to love the people you work with. That's extremely important. But I also got to save money and pay bills. So it's like, hey, what's y'all's rate of pay looking like? And you're always kind of like rubbing shoulders and figuring that out. And that helped me climb from where I was. You know, the 25 is how I started in the industry. And now I'm a good bit higher, you know. And it didn't take too long to get my rate up. But as long as you work hard and show your value, like they're like, oh no, we can call this guy. Yeah. You know, so, but I loved how I was near music. I was, you know, big music festivals where like artists that like I grew up listening to, even bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know, mind you, because I'm working, I'm not able to like be by the fucking fence, like, you know, right there under the people. I'll usually be in the nosebleeds or like just kind of standing at the back of the crowd looking out like, oh, cool. Like, you know, whoever, Wiz is performing, Red Hot Chili's. There was in a lot of sets I'm not even seeing because I'm working, right? So like there was another one like this year, there was like, I guess like T-Pain and Big X the Plug and a lot of cool names. And I just had to hear them way in the distance, like echoing, and I'm like, oh, fucking, you know, singing their song. But just that's energy though. Those are what they're on the mic. I'm big into this like hippie shit, but like that's frequency.
Yeah.
So they're I'm feeling it, and it's a feeling, bro. That's like I'm addicted to. Like I got to be close to this music, and like when you hear the like Red Hot Chili Peppers, holy cow. When they did by the way, and then like the drums cut out and it's just the like guitar with the lead singer singing the song, and you got tens of thousands of people singing together.
Yeah.
Something happens, dude. Like we all just ascend for a moment. Like for a moment in time, everything else in the world is irrelevant or is forgotten about, and we just like are lifted up in unison for just a moment in time. And that is like a superpower. You know what I mean? And some theorists may argue like there's some artists who are doing the opposite. Some people are like, oh, they're harvesting energy and they'll get trippy like that. I have my like feelings about that, dude. Like I'm just like, man, it's just a different genre. It's just not what you're used to hearing. But like same way that like heavy metal and shit was the shit 10, 15 years ago and people are moshing. Well, it's kind of what they're doing now to like this like grungy hip hop, like hardcore scene. And people are a little afraid of it. Like, it's the devil, isn't it? It's not necessarily the devil, dude. Calm down. It's just, people getting loud and letting out their angst and having fun. And even that, by the end of all that, whether we're screaming and pushing each other or whatever the hell that looks like, usually by the end of that, you're like panting and you're sweating and you're like, oh, I feel great, because you got your heart beat up, your body's feeling rewarded, you exercised me or whatever, and you're just like, okay, I feel good. So yeah, for me, man, I always wanted to find work near music. It was important, and I didn't really want to work at a venue because, like, again, not outside. I'm in this dark ass room and I got to work till 3 a.m. Shit, I used to work at a bar, dude, or really it turned into a club at night, high volume, and I hated staying up till 4 in the morning all the time, dude. It was not the wave. So like now that I'm outside, I'm normal sleep schedule. By the music, the big acts, I'm feeling the vibe. It's incredible. Back in Virginia, bro, there's like, you work in healthcare, you work in construction, you work in food, you work in banking. It's the typical stuff, dude. Yeah. Or tobacco. You work for Altria, you work for Philip Morris. Great jobs, by the way. They pay really good pensions, good all that. But like, that's your life, Yeah. My stepfather, he was working in tobacco fields. He'll tell you he was hanging tobacco in the barn out in Lynchburg, Appomattox area, way out there. So, tobacco is, and same thing. When I go down to like Sedley to see my uncle, bro, I could get out on the side of the road and pull a leaf and just have a tobacco leaf. So, in Virginia, that's kind of all you got. Or you go to the beach and maybe go out, shuck some damn crab and stuff, and that's all you got. So, I had always wanted to come west.
So how hard was the move though? Like you just wanted to come out?
Yeah, no, it wasn't hard at all. It was a credit card swipe away, my brother. I just ran that balance up and said, I will pay this off soon, and that's how it went. Okay. Not hard at all.
A lot of people, they're not happy where they're at. They don't want to leave sometimes,
Sure. Well, think about it like this. I've always been a little bit rebellious. I'm sure my parents can tell you there's a little bit of rebellion in your boy. Well, I usually when people tell me something or it's got to be done this way, blah, 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 I question the hell out of it.
I know.
So people would tell me.
I've been there.
Yeah, right? No, for sure. It's all good. I mean, you're right. But look, man, they would tell me, like, don't run up a credit card balance. But then, like, I'd have, like, certain friends tell me, like, well, the richest people on earth, they carry the biggest debt balances in the world, and their whole investment strategy is run up some debt. As long as you got a good fucking plan and you believe in it, run up a little bit of debt, and I guarantee that debt will help you out in the long run. And that was my mindset. I think a lot of people are afraid because it's like, I don't want to carry a balance on my credit card. It's going to hurt my score. Man, it's like, well, dude, when you die, what's that score going to matter anyways?
Yeah.
You don't want to be, 80, 90 years old and be like, well, what could life have been like had I just bought that one way or, made that drive, got that U-Haul. The U-Haul, the Penske was like 2 bands, dude, after gas and everything. So it's like, hey, what's that one-time swipe? You can pay that off in a few months, But for me, what empowered me was ZipRecruiter and Indeed. I was on ZipRecruiter in Richmond looking for contract work, and that's how I was like, okay, where could I find other contract work? I looked at LA, I looked at Phoenix, I looked at Texas, Austin, I looked at all the big ones they're talking about. Your Charlotte, your Atlanta, your New York. And I started like looking at cost of living. That's how I wound up in, landing in Nevada.
Yeah.
And of course, I have to say it was also cannabis laws. I was not going to go to Texas and move from Virginia to Texas just so somebody could pull me over and give me a felony because I would smoke pot. I just didn't want that. So that was a big thing for me. Was like that's why Cali, Nevada, certain states like that were kind of like in my realm of like this needs to be done, and but the work's out there. Yeah. So I guess to your point, you were saying like some people don't want to leave. Well, just get strategic with it. I guess if we're offering advice right now, like just get find the opportunity. Do some interviews. I was doing interviews with people from Virginia. You want to know somebody I pretty much got a job with but didn't take? Was Cookies, the dispenser, the big poppin' brand. Yeah. They opened up on Flamingo, a huge store out in here in Vegas. And I interviewed for like some sort of position, and they were like, dude, you got it, man. We'll see you when you're out here. And I finally I was like, nah, I got other things that but it's like, dude, you can do this, people will work with you. Matter of fact, if anything, it might make the employer a little bit more excited because they kind of, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. They know that you're going to need them.
Yes.
And they might be, for a minute, the employer might be able to kind of take advantage of that. But you got to eat that if you really want to like take another step in your life to change your environment or something. That employer might be foaming at the mouth like, oh, well, if they get out here, they're not going to have any friends, family, or connection. So I might really like overwork them or use that to my advantage. And that's cool because the whole time that you're out here, make sure that you're making new connections and focusing on that, introducing yourself to people, putting out feelers, and then eventually you'll find your way. And I think that's kind of how it happened for your boy.
So then once you got out here, start working.
Mm-hmm.
And then music. What about
and music? Then so here we go, back to music. Up until this point, bro, like in Virginia, I'd only done like open mics. I hadn't even really recorded music because music is expensive to record. Yeah. Again, studio time. Once it gets to 60, 80 an hour, you're paying for an engineer. That's a lot of money, time, effort, energy, X, Y, and Z. So I needed money for equipment, but also to pay an engineer, to pay a photographer, to pay a videographer, to do, and some people say you can do all these things on your own. I'm not that type of artist. I'm the type where it's like, I know that I'm really good at one, maybe two things. I'm going to put 110% of my energy into those one or two things. I'm not going to waste my talent, energy, and time on trying to learn and be good at everything. I'd rather pay the people who are significantly better than most. Let's pay them to do it, and then I'll handle my shit. Yeah. And I think that's truly the best way to go. It's only worked for me. So my whole problem was I never really had money. And then I come out here, find some work, and it's like, nah, I can kind of get some money. Because we don't live in the old days where you like have to go to a record label and they approve you for a $10,000 budget. Yeah. It's like you can just make that yourself now and kind of do it on your own. And that's what a lot of like OGs and like mentors and artists that I'm tapped in with, that's what they keep telling me. Like, don't worry about the labels, bro. Just do it on your own and you'll be a lot happier. So, yeah, so I needed some money. So once I got some money, I was like, okay, it's time to like put the foot on the gas, right? So the first album, Deep Rest, it was about a $5,000-$6,000 budget. That's how much money I had saved. That paid for the features, that paid for the beat, leasing the beats from the producers, the photography, the music video, some ad spend on socials. Like it paid for a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of valuable lessons, like things that work, things that don't, what to try next time. But one thing is for sure, it does cost. You have to pay to play if you're going to play. And so that was always the thing that kind of like had me tripping for years through my 20s. It was just like a matter of like, damn, I'm not making enough. And then until I started like making enough, it was like, okay, now I have this money to play with. And I could be spending that on anything, dude. I could be putting that in the S&P 500. Yeah. I could be buying a home. I could be buying a nice whip. But no, sir. This Asher feature means more to me. This Nicholas F feature means more to me. The Planet Asia feature, it meant more to me. The beats that I'm paying for with these producers mean more to me. The videographers I'm working with. I can't take a home with me, bro. I can't take a car with me. There's a lot of things that I'm just not too interested in. Like, I'd rather put all that money into making something that's going to live on while I die, which is the music, and that's what I'm doing. So right now, currently, presently, Guala, I mentioned Guala before. Him and I, we worked together great. We did an EP. The budget for that was only like 1,500 to $2,000 on my end. Tim Guala, his name, not you, Tim. His name is Tim too. So Guala, he put up some money for that too, and we work great. So we're gonna probably keep going. The cool thing about like me working with one singular producer is like we don't have to worry about splits too much. Like on the Deep Rest album. Like, by the way, I keep looking over here because I got you one. So that's for you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, man. Little physical CD action.
No.
Yep. Put that in your. If you have anything that'll play it, put it in there and enjoy it. So, but so you know, I wanted to pay for. Where was I before I even gave you that? The features or
Features.
Yeah, I wanted to pay for
one producer.
one producer. So here's what I learned when I wanted to press those and sell them. These aren't for sale, by the way. The people in the audience, these aren't for sale. These are exclusive. You got to see me in person. I'll throw you one for free. And here's the reason why. Because like, if there's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 producers on there, dude. Yeah. Well, the problem is you got to pay out everybody you work with on the merch and stuff. Like, unless you have like a written agreement in the beginning where it's like, I'm just going to pay you one time, help me promote this. Mm-hmm. Like, you kind of got to like break them off on the back end. That was too difficult for me to do with this album. So it didn't make sense to press vinyl and everything. I mean, maybe when I like got a big bag, I'll do it like in the future. But, you know, it makes more sense to just kind of do it with one person. So Guala and I, we did an EP. We're probably gonna, I think it's locked in. I'm pretty sure we are doing a second EP, and we are most definitely doing a full length. And that's kind of where a lot of my energy is spent right now, is EP first, full length, and we'll see where things go from there. Because I got my own, like, I produce my own shit. I got music I want to put out that he hasn't produced. But like him and I, we work great together. We got sounds that work together. And in addition to just putting out music and merch, like I want to go on like shows like On the Radar. I'm sure you've seen them. It's like a radio show, right? But you go up and you like do your thing, and they just help promote you, and they got a good following and stuff. Same thing with like Static Select Shade 45. Like I'm trying to go on there. Like there's a lot of things I'm trying to do that cost money. That's why I keep saying, how about this? When I was young, bro, I tell people this all the time, but like when I was young, this is what they tell you in school when you're in elementary. Kids, you can do anything you want to do. Well, that's half of the truth.
Yes.
You can do anything you want to do if you can afford to do it. If you can afford to do it, you can do anything you want to do. That's what I've learned. Like, oh, I want to go on these radio shows? You sure can. Anybody can, really. But you got to pay their price. You got to pay the price. You know, that's why I have a song on there. It's called Pay the Price. You know? So that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like money comes first because that money's going to get reinvested into the music. And right now, I don't have time to sit here and beg other people for money to do my music, like a label. You know, if they show interest, cool. But that's not where my focus is at. You know, my focus is like, let's get to the bag. Let's put the bag in the music and figure out how to make another bag from the music. Because it's not impossible. Yeah. As long as you make good shit. And see, everybody streaming, it changed a lot. Streaming has people convinced now that, oh, I got to keep up. So what are they doing? They're dropping more music. It's unfinished. They're oversaturating everything, right? They're putting out a single every other week, you know, all year. It's fine if you're doing it for a little bit because you got like maybe a project on the way and like you need to kind of bubble up a little bit. People are talking about you and shit. You're back in the algorithm. I get it. Yeah. But like, if you're singling like people the fuck out, where it's just like, man, I gotta scroll on Spotify through your singles to find a song I like, and I'm scrolling for 60 seconds because you have that many. It's stupid. You know, back in the day, you know, when you wanted to get a record deal, you had to be damn sure you were confident about the music you were about to show the label. You know, and then they would press your best shit on a single, and if that worked, then you get the deal. Then you can work an album, and you better have a fire fucking album. Now you've just got everybody putting out whatever they make just because they're trying to like keep up, and it's like, no, sir, you're devaluing your or no, ma'am, whoever, or no, they, you know, whoever we're talking, whoever's listening. So yeah, you put out the music. And it's got to be damn good. My boy, one of my boys, Malik, you might have met him. He's actually done some production work with me and some of our teams, but maybe in time you'll meet him. But like he has this shit he likes to say where he says, it's got to be undeniable. If the shit is not undeniable, you cannot put it out, period. So, and the problem is, like, for me, I listen to my music a lot. And if I get tired of it after a few weeks or months, I am not putting it out. I don't think people are doing that right now, bro. Like, I think that they're putting it out. They're okay with it being hot for a few weeks, and then they're cool with it dying forever. I don't like that, you know. There's a reason we still play music from the 80s.
Yeah.
Because it's just fucking great, you know? Like, it's just, dude, when Doves Cry by Prince comes on, you gotta let that play. You can't fast forward through that. It's just good music, you know? And I would say the same about, like, certain, like, hip-hop records, bro. Like, you know, Nas. I mean, for me personally, I enjoy, like, Memory Lane off Illmatic. Every time that fucking song, or Second Childhood even off of Stillmatic, every time those songs come on, I'm like, hold on, don't touch anything. You know, let this play. This is great music. And it's important, man. Like, I don't want to put out music if it's mid. So, like, I have way too many people in my ear telling me, like, put out more music. Bleh. And I'm like, nope, it's going to be what I love, and it's going to be when I want to put it out. And that's it, dude. Because chances are, you only got like one chance for somebody to hear about you and decide whether or not they like you or not. Do you really want that one chance to be some shit that you kind of just put out because you felt like you had to and it didn't really work necessarily, you know? No. Yeah. You want people to really like hear your shit, feel it, and be like, no, I gotta hear, I need more, you know?
But it was different before. It was different before because there were albums and CDs. Streaming now, it's just people just throw it out there. They do an album that has like 40, 50 songs.
That's right.
Before, you only had like a good album was 7, 8 songs.
So going back to whatever people tell me to do, I start scratching my head and I say, why are you telling me to do this? And I'm like, do I need to do it like you're telling me to do it? Because that's what they're telling me to do. You know, and it's because of the algorithms. Well, they're also telling me to get on social media and fucking dance. Yeah. I'm not going, you will never see, you know, I actually, when I promoted Deep Rest, I might have did like 2 videos where I'm like talking to the camera and shit. Dude, no more. Moving forward, the only time I will be in front of the camera is in situations like this where we're really being intentional, like mad intentional with what we're talking about. Or music videos. That's the, you know, I'm sure like Prince might have been on IG, just like a Justin Bieber is, right? Yeah. But in my opinion, JB, he be posting a little too much. It's a little too personal. I don't need to see you drinking coffee this morning. And I don't give a fuck what your coffee routine is, bro. Put out the, you know what I mean? And people, they just, it's all artificial, dude. And I just can't get down with slutting myself out for Mark Zuckerberg just so he can get some more ad money to keep people scrolling. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't want to get us demonetized. I'm saying this is where I'll start going if you get me into it. You know. So this is where we're at. So I mean, yeah, bro. Like I really look up to like Jay Electronica. I think he's one of the, if I was talking about who's inspiring me right now, it's this. Jay Electronica, Earl Sweatshirt, Boldy James. Those are at least like my top 3. Nicholas F. has dropped a lot of fucking insane shit. Obviously Asher, obviously. I mean, we're trying to, me and Guala, we've talked about it. We're trying to get another feature with him. Yeah. So God willing, we'll see if that happens. But that's on the, you know, the to-do list. You know what I mean? Same with F. The guys I've already locked in with, like I know them now, like both of them. Before it's kind of like a, hey man, like, you know, what you want to do? But now it's kind of like a, hey, like, we're locked in, you know? So, but we'll see. We'll see where this shit goes, man. I don't know where it could go, but I know that I have studied this genre through and through. I'm passionate about it. Reason being primarily because, like, I just think it's the most unfiltered form of music there is. It's so raw. It is so relatable. It is so, like, people are telling their stories, good and bad. It's storytelling. It's empowering. It's empowering people, you know. But you could say all genres are. But like maybe that one record that's like a pop country song may not be hitting as like authentic as the, you know, the J. Cole record where, you know what I mean? Like I was just listening to his B freestyle that he did over the Common beat, and he said I signed a big deal and went to the dealership. Here goes some realer shit. He was like, they took one look at my credit and said, forget it. So now I'm on the train with no whip to my name. I don't remember what he was saying, but like, this is a rapper who had been signed by Jay-Z, you know, allegedly has a little bit of money, and he's sitting there telling you, he's like, bro, ain't shit changed, man. I'm still getting denied to get, you know, I need a co-signer on my car, like, and it's cool to hear that shit. It's cool to relate to people and tell them, like, you know, it's an educational genre. Hip hop is it's like, you got the news telling us some shit, and that's their version of history. And if we let them tell it, that's going to be the version of history that we all know. And then you got the artists.
Yeah.
And the hip hop artists happen to be the ones that take the most risks and like challenge that status quo and kind of speak to what's really going on. You know, let me really show you what's going on, whether it's in the streets or whether it's right there at town hall. I'm going to put it into the music. I don't see a lot of other genres doing that. You know what I mean? Which is why I really think that hip hop is important. It's why I like to participate in it. My goal is to pay homage to the genre, to not take and fucking shit on it and spin on it, but more to like try to add to it and you know, give my offering and let that be what it is until time keeps timing and I'm not here anymore.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Okay.
You know?
I like it. So that's your boy. You guys gotta listen to him.
That is me, man.
So where's your albums at? Your albums are on Spotify and where else?
So you can follow me on
follow him.
Instagram at A Jackson Official. That's A Jackson Official. And yeah, you can find me on Spotify, A Jackson. There's a dot after the A. And then, you know, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, we, you know, trying to get my videos up, but again, those are expensive, but we will be doing more videos, so get ready. They're coming.
All right.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. You want to share anything else?
Do I want to? No, I think
about your music.
About my music, just be patient. You know, we have the Life Jacket 1 out. We've got Deep Rest out. I still listen to those projects. Matter of fact...
Deep Rest or
yeah,
Deep Rest?
No, both, right? There's your play on words, right? So there's a lot of emotion in that record. You know, we're just kind of catching people up from around the time I'm like 22 to 24, 6, you know, and then up to where I'm at now. And then all the music kind of moving forward will be like probably reflective, but also like kind of where I'm at. So... there's Deep Rest, and like, bro, on my Spotify rap that I just got, I am my own top artist. Like, I'm telling you, I still listen to that album. I still listen to Life Jacket. And these albums are like Deep Rest is like, I guess almost 2 years old, maybe? I don't know. And then Life Jacket's like almost a year old. So, you know, that's the beautiful thing. I'm trying to put out music that I know is going to like, you can play it for a while. So you can count on that from me. And I'll keep doing my part and working to make sure that I'm putting out quality shit. So I look forward to y'all hearing it. And I really appreciate you being interested, Tim. Thank you so much.
I've been wanting to get you on for a while.
Yeah, dude. This is cool.
Yeah, we've been trying to do a lot with you, but, you know.
This is cool, yeah. No, this means the world, man. And, you know, I'm excited to see where the Slayton podcast goes, bro. Because you are also a very cool motherfucker now, dude. Tim.
I'm trying.
He moves around, bro. He shucks and jives, dude. This cat's got some stories in him.
I'm trying. Yeah, so we're trying to get going, and more collabs we do, better we'll be. But
cool, man.
You guys out there, you need to get him on your playlist and
boom.
A Jackson.
All right, y'all.
Okay, we're out.
Peace.
He said he only wanted to do he said we're gonna do a podcast about 20, 25 minutes. That's what everybody listens to, but we went way past that. But
good.
Thank you everybody for listening, watching us. Hit that like and subscribe button. 24 Slayton on all your avenues.
Peace, everybody.
We're out. 24 Slayton.
All right, dude. That was fucking cool as shit, too. Woo, we did it.
Yeah.
All right.